Greetings, people of Jeeple. There's a large, whatever. There's a large machinery there to put foundations for a new building. It's very interesting the way they're doing that. So anyway, folks, welcome back to another video where I talk about things, and it is, in fact, Friday, the 5th of December, 2025, coming to you live from Israel. People always say the first 15 seconds of your video matter the most, and that's probably true if your goal is to reach as many people as possible. So in that spirit, please like and subscribe, etc. the video, as it would make a big difference to me to reach my goals of getting to 550 subscribers. How's that for a modest goal? For the next goal, from the current location of 500 and what are we at now? 30? Let's get to 550, shall we? Can you guys help me do that? Go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks. Now, what are we going to talk about in this fantastic video? Well, it's in the title, really, right? It's the Fool on the Hill 2025 GeoPolitical Remix. What does that mean? Well, you know that song, The Fool on the Hill by the Beatles? I love that song. It's a fantastic song. It says so much. It's very relatable to me. You can probably tell I like the Beatles, right? They were a great band. They did publish some great music. And that's just one of those songs that I can really relate to. You know, everyone calls him the fool. The fool on the hill sees the world going round. If you know the song, it's very relatable in my opinion, to the way I view a lot of things, especially when it comes to geopolitics, current conflicts, outlooks of what is likely to happen. You know, there are some people who have a certain talent to see certain situations and understand what is probably going to happen. And unfortunately, one of the areas of information where I seem to be blessed or cursed with that particular skill is in the topic of geopolitics. And I say unfortunately because geopolitics is one of the least pleasing things in the world, since it deals so much with conflict. And if you're not going to be corrupt in any way, it is also usually one of the least rewarding. Yes, it can be rewarding if you're not corrupt. It can even be very rewarding, relatively. But, you know, the biggest, most significant successes are usually corrupt in some way. As the old saying goes, you don't usually get to be, or you don't ever get to be, a president of a country, let alone something as big as like the United States, without selling out to somebody. And usually it's more than someone. It's usually multiple parties, right? Because of the nature of the beast, right? It's kind of hard to line up that much support in any country. Even a small country, you still need to line up support from multiple parties that seemed unlikely to bring together. And since things are relative, usually the available resources you have to run a campaign, even in a small country, will be limited to the degree of the size of the country, etc. So, you know, yes, you may be a big fish in a little pond and therefore have more individual power and ability to do your campaign, but you're still going to need to get the support of various groups if you live in any society where that is required to be the leader. And by the way, that does not only apply to dictatorships, I mean, the democracies. See how I slipped that in there? It also applies to dictatorships. That's right, I did that so I can say it twice. Because even in dictatorships, you still need to have support to some degree from the people that support you. Otherwise, a very swift coup will probably be your end if you are said dictator, right? Without the support, you ain't going to dictate much. Secretary might take a short note, and that's about it. So you do need to essentially lobby for your support, and usually that will end up in some corrupt decisions. Now, that isn't to say that all lobbying leads to corruption and that all politicians are corrupt, but the vast majority of it is, and the vast majority of them are. All right? And all politicians, and I really mean kind of all of them, even the ones who necessarily aren't corrupt, are liars, scoundrels, and thieves, or at least one of those three, if not two or more. But I mean all politicians, because all politicians will at some point tell a lie. And I don't mean like they'll tell a lie like, you know, a kid telling his mom that he put on a certain pair of shoes and he actually wore a different pair before he went to school or whatever. I mean, like, they'll tell political lies that are potentially going to impact the lives of the people that may or may not vote for him or her, or it, or they, or them, or whatever pronouns they use these days. Right? There are any number of politicians that you can point to and say, well, I mean, practically everyone, any politician that's run for any significant, like, real size election, and that has to lobby two or more conflicting groups to secure their interests and to secure their votes, is going to have to lie, usually, to secure their votes. Going to have to at least lie to one of those parties, if not more than one. Right? People will say, what are you talking about? Trump doesn't lie. He's a perfect example of somebody who's not corrupt. If Trump doesn't lie, why do so many right-wingers go after him for lying? For lying to them about what he promised and then doing something different. Even though you could argue, as if you're a more centrist person, you could say, well, actually, those lies were good lies. Well, then you're still saying he lied. Or you could say, well, no, those weren't lies, or those are misinterpretations. Well, now you're if you were a centrist before, or even a left-winger, and you're defending Trump's lies, and you're saying, no, those weren't lies, then you're doing exactly what the more right-wing MAGA people did before Trump was reelected, when he was in his campaign mode, and telling a huge heaping number of, let's call them fibs, or lies, or whatever you want, mistruths, that left-wing people then started to go nuts about. And assail him for what they said was lying. Right? Fresh kumquats right from the kumquat tree. Gotta love it. The kumquat, the Chinese orange. Very delicious. A highly recommended source of vitamin C. And yes, it was a seed let out of the mouth. Go down to where there are a lot of seeds on the ground. So no, it's not littering, because all these seeds, first of all, are organic. Second of all, get eaten by birds. And third of all, they're in a heaping pile of it. Hello there. Harari, what? What about? What's the question? Yes, hello there. Yes, Harari, hi. Harari here saying hi. And I mention this because politicians will continue to do the lying and the thieving and the scoundreling That is not going away anytime soon. I wish it were. But in my grand prognostication vizier viewpoint perspective, I can assure you that the status quo is not simply going to just disappear anytime soon. Will it maybe change over the next 500 to 1,000 years? Yeah, probably. But as you're probably not going to be here to see it, it doesn't matter to you in your lifetime. It may matter to your great grandchildren, and so on. But by the time it gets to there, the world will be in a very different place, and so will people and their behavior. So that's what I got to say about that. I wish you all well. Curious if you can give us some context on your speech today. Which speech? This one? I was talking about the prognostications of geopolitics in general. I didn't want to dive into a specific one. I will do that again later in another video. For now, I wish you all well. I wish you all peace and shalom from Israel.